Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. MVP, you got to be careful with the decisions that you make going forward. Remember, you put this out after Claressa Shields came out there and slapped Alycia Baumgardner. You said you maintain a strict zero tolerance policy for hostile, threatening, or aggressive behavior towards fighters, staff, media, or guests at any event. And then you said down here at the bottom, we remain committed to maintaining a safe, respectful, and professional environment for all participants and attendees. Well, I'll tell you what, the world is watching. And I'm going to tell you right now, Jake Paul's biggest leadership test is in front of him and in front of the world. Should MVP lift the Claressa Shields ban? I'll tell you right, it's a powerful business argument for Jake Paul and MVP not rushing to lift that ban. But I'm going to go ahead and say this. MVP's stated reason for the ban should be treated as the company's position, rather than trying to present every single allegation surrounding Shields as all these different facts that people try to gather. Nah. MVP said she was banned from the events after she slapped Alycia and framed the decision around maintaining a safe and respectful environment. That creates a fascinating leadership test for Jake Paul. Now, what matters more is that you got a potentially lucrative fight that's in front of Jake Paul, and he got to figure out what matters more: the lucrative fight or the credibility of the rules. MVP says it applies to everyone, and I'm just being real. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to imagine being Jake Paul. You build a company that's trying to be one of the most influential promotional organizations in women's boxing, investing in female fighters, promoting the events, help put women's boxing in front of a younger audience, and then one of the biggest female names in the sport gets an altercation with another fighter at your event, then you ban her. Then that fighter wants the ban lifted. Now comes the difficult part, because that's essentially what's going on. So for Jake, do you stand by principle or reconsider because the fight can make money? That's the real story. I know promoters are in this to make money and make the biggest fights for their fighters, but this is a very unique situation, you know what I mean? This shit is bigger than Claressa Shields. I don't think Jake should feel this as simply, do I want Claressa Shields back? He should be like, yo, I don't know if I want her back here, but it's more like, what does MVP's decision mean for every woman who fights for this company? Because if MVP tells fighters we're committed to providing a safe environment, then the enforcement of that standard becomes part of the company's identity. But if the rule disappears the moment a bigger payday becomes available, fighters could reasonably question how seriously the company takes it. And I'm being real with you, man. That's what he's got to. That's the decision he has to make. The whole world's watching this guy right now. Money can't be the only leadership principle. This is where Jake Paul has to be careful. You know, obviously he's a businessman, and I understand it's not an easy decision to make. MVP exists to make money. Claressa Shields' fight involving an MVP fighter, especially after her last performance, doesn't matter what you think about the opponent, it could generate pay-per-view sales, ticket revenue, sponsorships, media attention, streaming views, social media engagement. That's the business argument. They know that that's a Claressa Shields right now. She's got to build on her momentum. So she knows the only way to do that is to fight one of the women over that MVP. And even Jake Paul looks at it and knows this is a huge opportunity. But leadership requires something beyond, will this make money? The question becomes, what does this decision communicate? And I'm telling you, I'm sitting back watching. I got my arms crossed. I'm like, all right, what you gonna do? Because a lot of us who've been in leadership capacities, we know we've been under that pressure. And sometimes you got to stand by yourself. You be that 1%. You'd be 100 people in the room. Everybody's saying 99 of the 100 are saying something. You don't agree, you got to stand on that, man. It's tough, but that's part of being a leader. Now, Baumgardner seeing Claressa Shields return, that would be my biggest concern. What's Baumgardner going to think? I think this is the most important question. Imagine Alycia remains an MVP fighter, then MVP announces Claressa Shields is back. The doors are open for Claressa Shields to come back and fight one of their fighters. Baumgardner's going to be like, oh, okay, I get it. What about the other MVP women? Serrano, all of them except for Caroline DeBois. She the only one that'll be her and Sean Metcalf be hip hip hooray and celebrating this shit. What message does that send to the locker room? You know what I mean? Now reverse this scenario. MVP says, yo, the ban remains in place because our standards apply regardless of how famous or valuable the fighter is. That's going to send a completely different message. Nobody's bigger than company rules. And no one's bigger than the ban. And no one who assaults one of our fighters is going to be able to benefit off of our profile, off of our name, off of our brand to get a big fight and make money. You know what I mean? That's a powerful leadership principle. I just can't help but think about la 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 la. Layla Ali is the example, man. This is where you got to really think about Layla Ali. Claressa Shields had public disagreements with Layla Ali. She made up shit about Layla Ali. She lied on Layla Ali. They had a little bit of a back and forth. But Claressa went way overboard, including comments about Layla Ali's legacy and her father, Muhammad Ali. You know what I'm saying? You know, Ali has historically been protective of her name, image, legacy. So the broader business lesson here is not every legendary fighter has to give another fighter access to their brand. And Layla Ali shut that shit down. And it's ridiculous because Claressa and her team keep mentioning Layla. And Layla's like, yo, I'm not doing business with y'all. And that's a legitimate business boundary. Jake Paul has got to pay attention to that. Layla did it. He can do it. They don't need her. Jake Paul and MVP and PFL and the alliance they got with Matthew Lake, they're running shit right now. Let Claressa sit out there and dry up. You know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, emotions became extremely intense amongst boxing fans when Claressa was mentioning Muhammad Ali's name. May that man rest in peace. The man has passed away. She shouldn't have been mentioning his name at all to try to get under Layla Ali's skin to get a fight. That's dirty. That tells you that she's dirty and Papoose is dirty and the whole team is dirty. You know what I'm saying? So there's no respect for them as humans. As far as her as a fighter and her skills, yeah, she can fight. But as a human being, those people are all over there are crazy. They're trash. To go out there and do what they did to get a fucking fight, that's crazy to me. So the bottom line, when arguments involve Ali's name or his daughter or his legacy, fans can react and are going to react much more emotionally. But I just want to say, what Claressa said and how fans interpreted those comments don't present every social media accusation. I'm not going to say every social media accusation by fans about Claressa Shields is going to be factual because some people add stuff to it. But I'll just say this. Everyone who has an opinion, they believe Shields crossed a line when her public comments involved Muhammad Ali and his legacy. Everybody. Some people add shit to it, but what I can pull from that everyone who's been critical of Shields, as far as her crossing the line when it comes to Muhammad Ali, they felt like she was wrong. Simple. And I just want to make that crystal clear. Even some of her, they got like some of her supporters away from the cameras. Even they're like, yeah, she went overboard, but we get it. She was trying to make a fight. But they know that because it makes you squirm in your seat like, oh, shit, I can't believe she said that. And Layla Ali's position matters with all this. She built her own identity without needing to attach herself to every fighter who invokes her name or her father's name. That's important. You know what I mean? She can decide who she wants to associate with, and that's the lesson Jake Paul should consider. Access to somebody's platform is not an entitlement. Just because two fighters can make money together doesn't mean they have to. Jake has a huge responsibility. He's not just a promoter anymore. He's not a YouTuber anymore. He's a brand leader. MVP's identity is increasingly connected to women's boxing, entertainment, youth culture, crossover sports, and major events. That means Jake's decisions get judged differently. He's just not out here simply saying, I'm promoting a fight. He's effectively saying, this is the type of boxing environment that we're building. So you can't have no damn double standard, and this is extremely important. Just imagine a relatively unknown fighter gets into an altercation at an MVP event. MVP bans him. then imagine a superstar does essentially the same thing. If the superstar gets welcomed back because she can generate more money, critics will immediately say there are two sets of rules here, and that's a credibility problem Jake needs to avoid. You got to remain consistent, be iron-fisted, be firm, and especially with someone like Claressa Shields, because she's one step away from biting somebody. But there is a whole nother side to this, just I'm trying to be fair. A ban doesn't necessarily have to be indefinite. MVP could eventually establish conditions for reinstatement, like maybe they have a private meeting with the promotion, agree to behavioral standards, no contact requirements at events, mediation, public commitment to professional conduct, additional security protocols. I mean, that could allow MVP to demonstrate accountability and rehabilitation. Or maybe they could say, we'll create a pathway back to MVP if you want to fight our women. We'll sign Hannah Gabriels. You fight her. You beat her, then you get somebody else. And, as long as you keep winning, you get other fights. If not, you're done. I mean, they can do whatever they want. But I do think there needs to be some kind of accountability and maybe some kind of rehabilitation if they really, down the line want to bring her on. But at the end of the day, Claressa has been so disrespectful and toxic. Me personally think they should just leave her alone. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? And look, and as far as someone saying, oh, they're just trying to ruin Claressa Shields, or a couple of the McNicholases out there said, oh, this is their way of ducking her. They're ducking Claressa because they're afraid. Listen, hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. No one's trying to ruin her. No one's ducking her. Claressa has ruined herself. And matter of fact, she put duck sauce on the fried rice by slapping Alycia and ended up getting banned. So if anyone ducked it, she's the one who went out there and did the bullshit to where it's like she's ducking them. She did it to herself. Call her the duck. She the one went out there doing dumb shit that made her not welcomed anywhere. So as you could say, in a roundabout way, she's the one ducking them because she made poor choices. Now she got to deal with the consequences. But that ain't leadership for someone to try to destroy Shields. She's doing it to herself. So if she wants the ban to be lifted, I think there's a few healthier approaches. But she got to show that she can operate professionally. She got to remain consistent. Definitely, man, you got to come out there and issue an apology, but you got to remain consistent. But the strongest argument she can make is not, y'all need me. See, that's what her team and Pat Boots, they have her believing. They need me. You know what I'm saying? Jake needs me. The fans want me back. Nobody want to hear that shit. What she needs to say is, I understand the problem. I accept the consequences. I was wrong. Here's how I handle myself differently going forward. And hey, y'all, take it or leave it, but I mean that. I messed up. She need to take a deep breath, blow that shit out. And that's the leadership from her side too, need to come out there and say something, But they didn't say anything. They're just letting her run around here flying off the handle, acting buck wild. So the biggest question for Jake, will lifting the ban strengthen MVP's reputation or weaken it? Lift the ban, you get a big fight, bunch of publicity, big money maybe. Shields gets access to MVP fighters again. Some people are happy, some people aren't. Keep the ban, you demonstrate consistency. Baumgardner and other fighters know rules matter. Jake reinforces the company's authority. Reputation is strengthened. And MVP potentially loses lucrative matchmaking opportunities with Claressa. But who cares because they're making money anyway. But the money will always be tempted. This is boxing. Promoters aren't running charities, you know what I'm saying? If Claressa fights somebody on MVP, everybody's going to make money. That's why it's a difficult decision. Claressa's a big name in the sport. But I'm just telling you, man, the bigger the potential paydays become, the greater the temptation to forget the original controversy. So principles are easiest to follow when they don't cost you anything. Anyway, man, good luck to Jake Paul. He got a tough decision to make. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what he does. Keep cool. I'm in the breeze.